Well, good morning. Here, enjoying my morning coffee down just beside the burn, as we would say in Scotland. And you know, the Cop26 talks are going on just now, and I wonder a little bit. There'll be 25,000 people in Glasgow. There'll be people who've been on pilgrimage, people who are marching. I wonder if there are any prophets. Because what I'm hearing from the church is generally not the word of the Lord. What I'm hearing is people just agreeing with a political point of view and coming up with the same non-solutions. Now, as Christians, we disagree about the politics of many things, but I don't hear a word from God. And yet here in Romans 8, as it happens, we've just come to that point where I want to read this verse. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Now, we've been told in Romans chapter 1 that the creation speaks. It reveals God's power and God's glory. I posted a photo, and I'll put it on the cover of this, of just an incredible flower that has perfect symmetry in a trinity. And you know, somebody, when I put up, look at the design on this, somebody said, yes, but there's no designer. To me, that's like going into, to see the Mona Lisa, looking at the painting and going, yeah, but there was no painter. Really? You think that makes sense? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So the design tells us something about God. The creation speaks, but the creation is also groaning. Right here, right now, this is very idyllic. But if there were earthquakes and diseases, as there's pain and there's suffering. But it's not pointless. You see, for the Cop26 campaigners, it pretty well is pointless, because they believe that the earth is just going to disappear anyway at some point. This is what Jesus says. Matthew 24:4, Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. But see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." Now, this is really important to grasp. The Christian perspective, the biblical perspective, is not that the creation is winding down. The Christian perspective is that these are birth pains for something greater that is to come. The frustration the creation feels, that we feel, is in hope. The bondage to decay gives place to the freedom of glory. The pains of labor are followed by the joy of birth. The universe is not going to be destroyed, but is going to be liberated and transformed and filled with the glory of God. It's wrong to believe in a non-material heaven, or to think that this earth is just merely going to be destroyed. The Christian hope is different and secular. There is a future. There is a restoration. This present creation is not going to be replaced, but it's going to be redeemed, renewed, and restored. Believers will be changed. The creation will be changed. And if you think I'm just making this up, no, I'm not. This is a Christian understanding for many centuries. Calvin, for example, that there is no element and no part of the world which, being touched, as it were, with a sense of its present misery, does not intensely hope for a resurrection. All this hopes for a resurrection. Now, we are part of the creation, so we suffer. And next week, we're going to look at human suffering. But I think one of the greatest sufferings we have is the suffering of emptiness. God is not there and he's deemed irrelevant. Cop26 won't begin their meetings with prayer. No one will be calling for repentance and crying out to God to have mercy on us. All will be saying, we can solve this. You'll have Boris Johnson with his hubris. You'll have Biden with his hubris. All of them will be saying, this is ours to deal with. And most of us, if we've got any sense at all, don't put our trust in politicians. And we know it's rubbish. We know that China's going to carry on burning coal intensely for the next 20 years anyway. We know that this fantasy world of we create a paradise where technology ensures that no harm comes to the creation, that somehow we're going to stop the creation groaning. That's not true. I think the loneliness and the emptiness that we see is seen in so much in our culture, in so much of its music, so much of its literature. It's seen in the lost and the lonely and in the vast number of suicides. It's seen in the need to take drugs and the empty sex and the futile anger. But if we see God's hand in all of this. So my brother-in-law was laughing at me. He said, if you're going through a midlife crisis, you're posting photographs of flowers. No, I'm not going through a midlife crisis. What I'm going through is this. It's on my mind all the time. The creation reflects the glory of God. And God's not going to let his creation be destroyed. So, let me put it this way. The message for Cop26 is not burning fossil fuels won't save the planet. I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything. Of course we should do things. But we can't save the planet. But preaching the gospel will. And you know, the best thing these political leaders could do for our planet is to encourage the preaching of the gospel and to encourage your people to cry out to God in prayer. They won't, and that's why we'll be judged. But those of us who know Christ, we can carry on preaching and we can pray that God will raise up leaders in our world today who know him. But I'm just saying to you, and I'm saying to me, don't be hopeless. Sometimes I do despair. But then I look at the beauty of the creation, I think of the Creator, and I look at what he's done in sending his Son. What a fantastic hope. God bless you. See you next week. See you guys.